In a city divided by baseball loyalty, few dare to cross the line. North side or south side, you choose a team and you stick with it. But every now and then, a brave few defy that unwritten rule. They switch dugouts, change microphones, or walk into enemy territory, and still earn the respect of both sides. Today we honor the legends who wore both hats, literally. This is the story of Chicago's rarest baseball breed, the crossover greats who made their mark with both the Cubs and the White Sox. Baseball is more than just players on a field. In Chicago, the soul of the game often lives in the booth, and some of the city's most iconic voices have belonged to men who called games for both the North and South sides. Let's start with the king, Harry Caray. Known today as the heart and soul of Cubs fandom, most forget that Harry spent 11 seasons as the voice of the White Sox before ever setting foot in Wrigley Field. He made "Holy cow" a household phrase across both fan bases. But when he joined the Cubs in 1982, something clicked. The Budweiser, the thick-rimmed glasses, the seventh inning stretch. And suddenly, Harry wasn't just a broadcaster. He was a Chicago icon. Next up, Steve Stone, the smooth-voiced professor of baseball. Stone pitched for both clubs during his playing days, but his true legacy came in the booth. He spent over 20 years as the Cubs' TV color commentator, delivering razor-sharp insights alongside Harry Caray. After a brief hiatus, he shocked fans by jumping over to the South Side, where he's now spent over a decade as the voice of the White Sox. Stone isn't just a crossover. He's a constant, a man whose deep baseball IQ resonates no matter what uniform he's analyzing. Then there's Len Casper, the modern voice of Cubs fans for a generation, from 2005 to 2020. Len brought calm, class, and insight to Wrigley Field broadcasts, but in a move that stunned many, he left the Cubs booth to become the radio play-by-play man for the White Sox in 2021. His explanation? He wanted the challenge of painting the game in listeners' minds, and now he's doing just that, on the opposite side of town. While not a direct crossover, Tom Brenneman's early Cubs career and later ties to Sox coverage in his national work makes him worth a footnote here. Another thread in the tight broadcast fabric that connects both franchises. In the dugout, crossing over isn't just rare, it's bold. Only one man has coached both the Cubs and White Sox. Rick Renteria is the only modern figure to manage both the Cubs and White Sox and get publicly ousted by both. The Cubs let him go to bring in Joe Maddon. The Sox dismissed him for a La Russa reunion. Renteria's legacy? Being the bridge coach during rebuilds on both sides of town. Cubs to Sox, Sox to Cubs. In a rivalry, this fierce switching jerseys is like switching allegiances, and it never goes unnoticed. Let's look at some of the most memorable player crossovers. It's hard to imagine Sammy Sosa in anything but a Cubs uniform. But yes, the home run hero of the late 90s started on the South Side. He was traded for George Bell in one of the most lopsided and franchise-defining deals in Chicago baseball history. Jose Quintana's trade to the Cubs in 2017 was massive. The Cubs gave up Eloy Jimenez and Dylan Cease, a deal that still echoes through both franchises. For a time, Quintana was seen as the final piece of the Cubs' title defense puzzle. But the aftermath still sparks debate among fans. Neil Kotz was a bullpen hero during the White Sox's 2005 championship run, then later suited up for the Cubs during their 2007 and 2008 postseason bids. Not many players get playoff experience with both clubs. Kotz is a rare exception. We circle back to George Bell, the all-star slugger the Sox received in return for a young, unproven Sosa. Bell had power, but the trade changed Chicago baseball forever. Yes, again, Steve Stone didn't just talk about Chicago baseball, he played it. Pitching for both clubs before his storied broadcasting career, Stone truly lived the crossover dream from mound to microphone. No matter which side you're on, championships are the ultimate measure of glory. And in Chicago, both the Cubs and the White Sox have had their moments at the top. The Cubs were the kings of the early 1900s, winning back-to-back titles in 1907 and 1908, led by the legendary Tinker to Evers to Chance infield. But before that, in 1906, they ran into a force no one expected, the hitless wonders of the Chicago White Sox. That fall, in the only time the two clubs have ever met in the World Series, the Sox stunned the baseball world and the heavily favored Cubs, winning the Crosstown Showdown in 6 games. The White Sox would go on to win again in 1917 behind the pitching of Eddie Saccott and the hitting of Happy Felsch, just 2 years before the infamous Black Sox scandal of 1919. Their next championship wouldn't come until 2005 when Ozzie G and club stormed through October, sweeping the Houston Astros and ending an 88-year drought. The Cubs endured their own long wait, 108 years between championships, finally breaking the so-called curse of the Billy Goat in 2016 with a dramatic Game 7 win over the Cleveland Indians. That victory wasn't just a title, it was a release, a celebration, a century in the making. Between them, the Cubs and Sox have brought 6 World Series championships to Chicago, and one of those, in 1906, will forever stand as the ultimate proof that in this city, the rivalry isn't just real, it's written in history. In Chicago, allegiance is everything. Wrigley or the Cell, Ivy or Pinstripes, North Side or South Side. The rivalry runs deeper than wins and losses. It's cultural. It's generational. So when someone crosses that line and thrives, they become more than just a player, coach, or announcer. They become bridges between neighborhoods, voices for the entire city, legends that unite instead of divide. Whether it's Harry Caray leading 2 stadiums in song or Rick Renteria holding down both dugouts, these crossover figures tell the bigger story of Chicago baseball, a city that bleeds both Cubby blue and Southside black, often at the same time. If there was ever any doubt about Chicago's baseball divide, the Crosstown Classic erased it. Since interleague play began in 1997, these matchups between the Cubs and White Sox have turned a citywide rivalry into a yearly battle for bragging rights. Every pitch, every hit, and every win means more when it's your neighbors, your co-workers, even your own family on the other side. The players may see it as just another series, but for the fans, it's personal. The Crosstown Classic doesn't just decide a few games in the standings. It reignites the age-old question, who truly owns Chicago baseball? For more than 100 years, this city has been split in two. Wrigleyville's ivy and rooftops on one side, Bridgeport's tailgates and black and white on the other. But every so often, someone dares to cross the line, to wear both uniforms, call both stadiums home, and write their name into both histories. They remind us that while the rivalry is fierce, it's also what makes Chicago baseball special. Because the stories aren't just about the Cubs or the Sox. The bragging rights are real. They're about a city, its people, and the game we all love. The crosstown battle will rage on, so stick around. There's plenty more Chicago baseball stories to come.